Okay, last but certainly not least for this section and for sort of the strategic items on our list is the competitive matrix. So I didn't do identify sort of competitors early on in my career, namely because I didn't really have a framework for easily doing so. It's difficult enough to sort of have 100 other different things on your plate to worry about I mean, sometimes it's a dozen. Sometimes just people come out of the woodwork, and then you realize that there's, total saturation in the market. So it's kind of hard to keep track of who your competition really is. But more often than not, there's at least 5, 10 people in the market that are, and maybe more if you're even doing something offering sort of legal services or something along those lines. There's all sorts of lawyers out there with their own practices, but being able to sort of understand why you're different and understanding why someone is better so that you can be better. I think that's one of my takeaways from doing these competitive matrix exercises is that if I understand where my competition is at, it pushes me to be as good and to do things that is ultimately going to push me over the top and be better than those companies. It pushes me to innovate. It pushes me to be more creative. It pushes me to do just everything at a higher cadence than I otherwise would, because I know that they're sort of looking around their shoulders to try and see if they're going to be pushed off the top of the perch. So starting with the competitor question. So, this is another document. So you can do these for each of your individual competitors. I'm sure you have a short list of companies that are, companies that you'd like to, keep an eye on. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be so, robust and clear. But the more clear you can get about why they're better, what their strengths and weaknesses are, messaging, takeaways that you can get from them that you can apply yourself, I find is, what is it? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. I find that to be, very true, right? There are and might be the best for good reason, because they have, a high caliber team that's sort of doing the steps, right? They're doing the steps of identifying their competitors and just being better at, aligning their entire organization for growth. So we'll go through the competitor on my site. So we actually keep documentation for competitors over here. I'm going to blur out some of the names though, so that I don't give away too much info. But keeping track of a marketing score, sales score, product and customer score. You can keep track of these over time just to sort of understand where you relate to your competitors. Understanding about how you win versus why customers should choose us. This allows you to sort of direct your team about if you need to lower your price point, if you need to improve your feature set, if you need to hire a more competent sales team. It'll pinpoint some of your weaknesses and your strengths in order to sort of beat the competition. Why customers should choose us, because being able to sort of define more completely about what you are versus the competition, on an individual level is super important, especially if some, customers have sales objections, or wanting to know, are there other offerings out there? A lot of times the best way to a sale is to be ultimately, the clearest, most transparent, right? Say, hey, look, we're not the only people out there. If you say, hey, look, here's why we're better than, our chief rival, or other other market solutions that you've probably heard of, because you have to assume at this point that people on the internet, it's not their first purchase, right? They're doing their research, they're reading reviews, they're doing everything that they need to in order to get a more round and complete picture about who you are and what the best solution is at the right price point for the value. And so going into that, knowing that people aren't stupid anymore, maybe they never were, is paramount to ultimately like what success that you want to have. And so identifying company information, if it is indeed, it will be a company. I'm sorry, it will absolutely be another company. You know, is it direct competition, indirect competitor, alternative competitor, different category? I mean, each one of these things is, never going to be just a direct copycat, right? But sometimes they're indirect, and you can sort of clarify if it's the same customer, different problem, same customer, different way. So being able to sort of clarify what the competitor type, what the revenue count is, what their employees, how long they've been in business, just specific company information. So what their strengths are. I mean, identifying why they're good and how you can get to be that good is super helpful. What their weaknesses are, so where you beat them, so that you can clarify that in your own marketing messaging to customers on your site. And then this isn't filled out for this one, but target customers, messaging. So being able to clarify how you want to, or how they are messaging their customers. Maybe this is an ad that's led to a landing page. What are they sort of saying? What are the keywords and problem and solutions that they're sort of saying on their messaging? And are they targeting the primary decision makers? A lot of times, you might have the exact same service, but some might be going lower market and some might be going enterprise. I mean, take Box versus Dropbox. Dropbox ultimately went the consumer route, and Box went the enterprise route. Same company. I mean, it did the exact same thing, but they went after two different customer sets. And so product and service offering. So being able to sort of understand what their product and service features are, allows you to sort of pinpoint, what they're doing better, or maybe where they're lacking. Existing customers, have a list of, their top customers. Maybe it's something that you want to go and try and poach, or maybe it's going to give you an idea about the type of customers and price points and how sophisticated you're going to need to be in order to go and get those types of customers. Pricing, obviously, super important. Do you want to be sort of a price leader in that? You're going to either go like low market or for lower price, a mass market solution, or you're going to go sort of the luxury route and sort of set a premium for your service. And lastly, customer reviews. Do people like them? What do they not like about them? So being able to sort of clarify all these different points for each individual competitor lets your team know where they need to be better, right? It'll set your strategic milestones. It'll set, a lot of in motion, strategic stuff that you need to sort of get in order to be successful.